What is the key to a God? How are you guys doing? Thank you for being here. I love this event. I love you guys, and I look forward every year to being here. This is kind of hometown con, right? Before I get started, I wanted to mention a couple of things real quick. We're going to take a drink of water and then mention a couple of things real quick. If you have been down to the Audiobook area, thank you. If you haven't, come down and see us all. We have a lot of great people down there. But I wanted to let you know that I have a couple of items at my table, and any of the proceeds from those items are going to go to help the effort in Central Texas. So, you know what that means? That means you can contribute. That means you can be a part of helping those people get back on their feet and provide things that are badly needed down there right now. I've got a couple of things that I'll mention. I have, years ago, a few years ago, I don't know if you knew about this or not. Oh, wait, this is a message I'm supposed to do. What? I don't know. Wow. How old are you? Where were you born? What's your mother's name? Years ago, I created a figurine, like a Funko, but not a Funko. We called it a Creo. Creo is Greek for I create. And the figure was about the same size, and it had elements of like 13 different characters that I played. All worked into the design of the figure. Like stuff from Full Metal, and Dragon Ball, and Oran, and One Piece, and Naruto, and Ruby, and JoJo, and Vampire Knight, a lot of different elements. So this young lady here is a dear friend and assistant of mine, and this is Squally. Say hi, Squally. And Squally found some of them. You missed us all singing together. We were all killing it. But she found a few of them, and we had some of them that were unpainted, because I don't know about you, but I like to paint stuff. I like doing little projects on my own. So she brought them with, and any of these proceeds are going to go directly to the charity. And it's not going to go to some big federal, like, Red Cross or some big, huge agency where you don't really know where it's going to end up, right? It's going to go, what's the name of the, it's on the ground right there in Cook County. That's where it's going. So I would love to encourage you, what do we have, 2 or 3 left? Yeah, I'm going to let them know about that too. So we've got 2 or 3 of the pops left. They're not pops, and now this is kind of cool. Who's anybody a Steeler fan in here? Anybody? You're like, oh, you come on, you know you look good. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are my team, and this is like an official jersey with all the nice sewn on letters. This is exactly game jersey, not like some of the fake ones and stuff. So any proceeds, if you know anybody that's a Steelers fan, any proceeds from these things are going to go straight to the effort down there. We have a couple of these actually. So please come down, and like I said, you're not giving me anything. You're giving it to them, and you're helping them. Okay? I told downstairs, I told them that I would give them a plug. I have to tell you a fun story. So, years ago, okay, if you've been around conventions for a while, and you know that I've kind of been around for a while. And I always used to wear these weird pants. Not always. Mostly. Which you agree so. And so I wore this today exactly because when was the concert? 2012. In 2012, you guys, I did a live concert at Anime Matsuri. 2012. And I wore this in the concert. And I thought, you know what? I'm pulling that out. And I'm going to wear it today just for fun. And so I used to wear weird things. I still do. And every time I would go to a big convention, there would be a booth, like all the booths downstairs that are selling vendors that are selling stuff. And there would be a booth where they had super cool clothing. And they were from a Japanese designer named H. Naoto. And I would see them at the bigger shows, and I would always check out their stuff. And then one day, I got connected with Naoto himself. Now, he never came here. He was in Japan. He was in Tokyo doing his thing, all amazing designs and stuff. And so we started talking about creating a line of clothing together. And then, you know, COVID happened and like everything just got derailed. And I never met him. I just talked to him from Tokyo, I talked to him by email. So yesterday, I'm walking through the dealer's room, just looking at stuff real quick. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look. There's an H. Naoto booth. Which makes sense, big con, right? So I walk over there to see their stuff, which I hadn't seen in years. And there's a guy that runs the booth named Harry, all right, and I knew him for years. Anytime I'd see him at a show, we'd chat. And I went over and he turned around and he's like, hey, Vic, I haven't seen you so long. We're chatting, and he points over to this other guy that's standing in the booth. And he goes, that's Naoto-san. I was like, I've never met him. Yeah, apparently they just came from Anime Expo in LA, right? Big show. And they came here. So I was so excited to meet him, and we chatted a little bit, and I even bought some cool stuff. And then my wife showed up today. I took her over there. She bought some cool stuff. So I told them, and while I was there, he goes, oh, Lisa, I have a present for you. And he pulled this off the table and just connected it to my pants. I gave him permission. It's okay. But so I told him, like, I'm going to let everybody in my panel know to check out H. Naoto's booth downstairs. Super cool stuff. Super cool stuff. I'm so glad you're here. These are my favorite panels like this to talk to you guys. Are my favorite thing in the world. Back, you know, once COVID happened, you know, I noticed this, and I mentioned it yesterday, but I noticed that even though conventions started coming back, panels didn't. I think that the people that ran the events were so scared of scheduling some event where you're sitting in such close proximity to people. I personally don't think it was a problem, but that's just my opinion. But the point is, panels just didn't come back. There'd be signing events, and there'd be guests, and even half the guests would be, you know, wearing masks, or maybe more than that. But there were no panels. And it was such a bummer to me because I love talking with you guys about what you care about, sharing mutual interests and stuff. So I'm very, very, very happy to be back here. I love this show, and they always schedule panels for me so I can talk with you guys. Does anyone, I'm going to have questions, we're going to talk about anything you want to talk about. Currently, in case somebody's saying, what are you looking at now? Like if President Loki down here were to say, what are you working on? I would say, well, I just did a new lead role in a video game called 7 Days to Die.
Ooh, that's an old one.
His name is Trader Hugh, and he's cool. He sells armaments. And he's kind of a, braggy, loud kind of, you need some guns, don't you? So he was a lot of fun, that's recent. And also I've been doing audiobooks. During COVID, when everything shut down, I started doing audiobooks. And I found that I really liked it. I didn't think I would. And all my friends told me that they're really time-consuming and that they don't pay very well. Right? So they're like, don't bother because they take lots of time and they don't really pay that well. So I had made a mental note, got it. Note to self, don't do audiobooks. And then there was really not much going on, right? All the studios had shut down, and so right around that time, somebody contacted me, an author, and said, hey, I've always enjoyed your voice work. Do you do audiobooks? Note to self, don't do audiobooks. So I said to the guy, well, I really haven't. And he said, would you be willing to do my book? So I thought I'd be smart. And I'm like, sure, I would be interested in talking about that in further detail. Notice how big that is. And I gave him a quote for an amount. And by the way, this would include everything, because I have a studio in my home, right? Which means you don't have to rent a studio. Which means you don't have to pay an engineer to run all the equipment. You don't have to pay a voice actor or a producer. So it's a turnkey thing, all in one package, right? So I sent him a quote, and he wrote back and goes, that'll be great. And I'm like, no! Now I have to do it! So I started, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was like getting to play all the characters at once, right? It was a lot of fun. And it was easy because I get up in the morning, make myself a cup of coffee, go on the road, right? And just go sit, knock out a chapter or two. Piece of cake. So, however, I will let you in on a little secret. Recording it is easy. Editing it is hard. That's where the time comes in. Because you have to get the timing, you have to set a tempo, you need to feel where there should be a pause. You know what I mean? And get a sense of the flow. And that's editing. In addition to, of course, chopping out any mistakes, or like if I would read a line and then I want to do that differently. I would just keep recording and do the line differently, and then when I'm editing, cut out the part I didn't want. Very time consuming. But I got done with the first book, and I'm like, I did an audiobook. And next thing you know, somebody else, another author, contacts me and says, hey, I've always enjoyed your work. Can I hire you to do my book? I'm sorry, I was still recording the first book. I'm sorry, I messed that up. I was still recording the first book. So this guy contacts me, and I thought, well, I'm just going to quote the same amount. So I sent him back, and I said, yeah, I can do it. It's turnkey, includes everything for this amount. And he wrote back, great. Okay, I guess that's second one I got. There's a good part coming to the story, I promise. So I finished the first book. Then I contact the second author and I say, okay, I finished the one I was working on. I'm ready to start on yours. Send me the manuscript. And he sent me the manuscript. And it was twice as long as the book that I just recorded. I'm not even joking. Like the first book was like 300 pages, and this was like 570. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? So I didn't think to check out how long the book was. So I wrote this awkward email. Hi. The amount that I quoted you was based on this many pages, and now that I've gotten your book, I see there's this many pages. And he wrote me back and he he said, "Oh, so double then?" Yeah, okay. So he turns out to be the greatest guy. I did his book. Then he wrote a follow-up book, and I did that one. Then he wrote a third book, which I'm now recording, and he just finished the fourth one. They're all part of this huge, amazing series, and I would encourage you guys to check them out. The first book that I did was called
I had it saved too. I forgot.
The first book that I did was called In Plain Sight. I remember. Not too old yet. It's still in there somewhere. Okay, In Plain Sight. It's a really cool private detective murder mystery kind of thing, but it's set in kind of a steampunky kind of world. Really cool. The second book, that's the series, is called, the first one's called The Crimson Spark. Fantasy novel. Amazing. Like, this guy created an entire world. It's like Lord of the Rings, right? Where there isn't America and Europe and stuff, right? There's Middle Earth, and there's all these creatures and these imaginative, amazing characters. And the second book in that series is called The Opal Embers. And the third book is called The Cerulean Flare. And he just told me the other week what the fourth book's called, and I don't remember. Because he just said it once. But it's an amazing series. All of them are available online. Check them out. I did another book called a sci-fi book, if you're sci-fi fans. I recorded another book called they're on Audible and Amazon and stuff. The other book is a sci-fi book called The Nova Quadrant. And then, and I'm not going to talk about Star Trek the whole time, I promise you, but I also did a book called These Are the Voyages. It's an amazing book about the making of the original series of Star Trek. Now, even if you're not a Star Trek fan, it's fascinating to see all that went into making it. I mean, even if you haven't watched it, everybody knows Star Trek is kind of one of the biggest television shows back, one of the most iconic shows. Those of you that are a little older like me, you'll list Star Trek, MASH, I Love Lucy. Like, there were a handful of shows that were just iconic. And I mean, look today, you've got like 2 or 3 Star Trek TV shows on television, 60 years later. Amazing the impact that show had. But what a lot of people don't know is what it took to make it. It was the most expensive show on television at the time. And they were constantly running into roadblocks. They were running into philosophical roadblocks, because back in the 60s, the standards of people, that were in charge of what you could and couldn't say or do on television were constantly trying to put the kibosh on Star Trek stories. Because the guy that created Star Trek wanted to tell powerful, thought-provoking, morality questions, social issues, those kind of things that Star Trek was famous for. And the people that were in charge of what you could or couldn't do on television, like, oh no, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't produce that. You can't put that on television. So they were constantly coming up with these really cool, creative, imaginative ways to address a certain issue only in a sci-fi setting. I'll give you a perfect example. There was an episode of the original series called Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. And it was about these 2 characters that beam up on, that come aboard the Enterprise. The first guy comes aboard, and he's literally half black and half white. Right down the middle. And he's seeking asylum, and you don't really know why. And then another guy shows up, and he's half black and half white. And everybody on the ship was already talking about, what a weird anomaly. This guy must be one of a kind. And then the other guy shows up and like, whoa, must be a whole race of people, right? But the one guy hates the other one. I mean hates him. In fact, he's been chasing him through the galaxy. And you don't know why. And finally, it comes down to this one scene where Captain Kirk is talking to the one guy that hates the other guy. He goes, what's the deal, you guys? You're the same. But why so much hate? And the guy goes, what, are you crazy? Look at us. The same? Are you kidding? Look at us. And Captain Kirk goes, you're black on one side or white on the other. And he goes, no. I'm black on the right side. He's black on the left side. Do you see it? The whole episode was the lunacy and the idiocy of racism and marginalizing people based on nothing more than, external appearances. Super powerful. But they wouldn't let you touch issues like that in the late 60s. So Star Trek pioneered all of these questions. The Vietnam War, overpopulation, computerization, like tons of questions that they weren't allowed to talk about. Did you guys know that the first interracial kiss was on Star Trek? The first time on Star Trek. The first swear word ever spoken on television was on Star Trek. I mean, I know that's kind of silly, but they broke a lot of new ground. So this book... What?
Which word? What did they say?
Oh, I know, it's not as, nowadays you're like, dang, I said that 16 times this morning. At the end of one episode, Captain Kirk says, let's get the hell out of here. You couldn't do that in the 60s, I promise you.
Oh my God!
I know, the 4-letter word. No, different 4-letter. Anyway, this book explores the making of this show and all of the challenges that the producers had to go through. Anyway, okay, enough about that. Who's got a question? Yes! Can I sing the intro to Laura? Wait a minute, I don't know it that well. Oh my gosh, did I just break you? I think she just died. You know what? Okay, listen, let me, but I have a counter. I have a counter, and here's the counter. I didn't sing the opening song. That's the main reason I don't know it. However, before anybody was cast in Laura, I was asked to write the translation, lyrics, and sing the closing song. I run 1,000 miles, and I'm barely breathing. Only the fuel of the passion heart keeps his body strong and moving forward, right? Shot. But I did it. I wrote the lyrics, and I recorded it. Everything was fine. And then they cast the show. And I got past this time. And so they called me and said, hey, we really liked the song you did, but we can't have Tommy sing the closing song. So they had somebody else record the vocal, but I had written the lyric for it. So that's all I got for you. I'm sorry, I don't know Kiss Kiss Fall in Love. Kiss Kiss Fall in Love, da 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 da. That's all I know, and that's all I'll sing. Da 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 da. Yes, sir. Oh, well, everybody heard your question.
If you were going to voice the if you're going to narrate any light novel from an anime or an anime that hasn't been animated yet, what would it be?
I am so grateful to God for the chance to do what I get to do. I never planned it. I lived in Houston for 20 years. And while I lived here, I worked on jingles. That's right, I used to write jingles. Some of you didn't know that. Jingles that you probably know. Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, right now. I wrote that. And then a whole bunch of others. I worked with ad agencies and write music. But one day somebody that I was working with encouraged me to go on audition for this little dinky studio over, what do they call that part of town? Harlan, right off 59 in Harlan and Richmond and over there. Is there a, it's not Bel Air, is that? I don't know what they call it. Anyway, that's where the studio was. So I went over there and auditioned. I didn't know what they did in there. All they did is Japanese cartoons. Like, you like Speed Racer and stuff? Yeah. So I auditioned and I got cast. The point is, I didn't plan it. I didn't seek it out. A door opened. I walked through having no idea what was on the other side. And it turned into a 25 plus career. And 400 different titles and video games and stuff. So I love the work. Thank you for that. I already said that. I love you. Well, I'm not super familiar with what's not been released or I don't, not up on manga. I know, I'm sorry. I used to read a lot, but I'm not up on manga.
You asked for Full Metal.
Oh, heck yes. Or to quote Captain Kirk, hell yes. Absolutely. Question? Yes, sir.
This is more.
He is ready, right?
Did you hear that? I saw it on YouTube 10 years ago. That's the last time I said it. Hold on. There's only one thing I have to do before I say cat. Like this is really going to help, right? It's vodka. No, it's not. That was a joke. That's not right. I'm going to do it at you.
Oh, my God.
Alright? So you might, I tell you what, you recording right now? Okay, flip your camera so it's looking at your face. Oh, even better. Is it recording? Okay, get in close. Come on in close. Turn this way. You, Kakarot. I choose you to be the person of my victims. Kakarot. Kakarot! I'll see you in 10 years. Yes, sir.
Just got a question.
Hey, there she is.
With the coolest jacket ever. Did you not? Stand up. Stand up. Look at this, you guys. It's Ed's coat, but it's so freaking cool. It's like leather. And then look at the back. It's like got pieces of suede. It is just gorgeous with these studs. Oh my goodness. Oh really? Hers is better than mine. We talked about this. Mine is a little darker. What? Was it really? Wow, 2019. Gosh, time flies. Yeah, mine's a little darker red, and I saw hers and I'm like, oh, no fair. Yours is cooler. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Trade camera. You trade. So now he's going to give you his camera back.
I've heard this rumor floating around, this idea floating around that you were going to make a voice acting studio of your own independently. Is that true? Is there any merit to that?
Well, there's a lot of merit to it. But it wasn't just me, actually. You're sitting in the epicenter of where that was planned. It was a, hello, fruit juice. I forgot I brought him up here. It was a joint venture with Matsuri, called AM Studios. And back a few years ago, we talked about starting a dubbing studio. We dubbed a couple of short anime films. One of them's on Amazon right now, called Zip Shimazo. I love it so much. And then another one we did called Vic Mignogna. We premiered them. Was anybody here for that? We premiered them here at Anime Matsuri a couple years ago. And the plan was you would do those as a proof of concept. Wrong word. We did those to demonstrate to a studio in Japan that we're capable of doing what any of these other studios can do. That we have the equipment, we have the know-how to use the equipment, we have the talent, voice acting and engineering, whatever, that we can do something as good as any of the other studios. And we did. It was great. The people that own Anime Matsuri, the people that run this show, John and Denise, have been to Japan several times. And one of the things they've been doing on their trips is building relationships. Because a lot of these things are all about relationships. Having a degree of familiarity and building a degree of trust and connection, and then networking, and then we'll let you dub our show or one of our shows. They've made those connections, and they've shown them Shimazo and Genpanojo, which are perfect examples of what we can do. So now, the reason that we are kind of at a standstill is because we've done all of the preliminary work to get to this point. And the point that we're at now is the hardest part of all. Money. Every studio that dubs any show, Funimation, Crunchyroll, whatever you want to call it, Sentai, any company that wants to dub a Japanese series has to buy the license from that series. So they negotiated a price, the Japanese company agrees, and then they will send the production company all of the raw files, the original music all by itself, all of the original sound effects isolated by themselves, all of the video, finished animation, the script, which is of course in Japanese. So then you gotta hire somebody to translate it and adapt it into English. So we are at this point right now where we have all these studios, we've got connections with several of the best studios. Now it comes down to where we get the money.
Not sorry, don't mind me.
Don't dump me. That's so the question is, that's where we're at now, is where and how do we raise the money to purchase a license to then adapt the script, hire the actors, dub the show. Pardon? No, we have not asked for any of that. Maybe we should. I don't know. I always feel bad asking people for money. In fact, I'm going to do a quick segue into Star Trek again. When I made my Star Trek series, those of you that haven't seen it, I made a live-action web series called Star Trek Continues that picks up where the original Star Trek was canceled, and it finishes the show, which was never finished in the 60s. We have almost 20 million viewers, something I'm very, very proud of, and I played my childhood hero, Captain Kirk. We rebuilt the entire soundstage. It's beautiful. I'm sorry, it just is. It's a complete labor of love. It's pure passion, but it was at a very high production level. When I started wanting to make an episode of this, of my show, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should start, do a GoFundMe, do a crowdfunding." And I couldn't bring myself to do it because I felt like, why would people give me money for something they had no idea if I could do it or not? Well, thank you, but I mean, I just didn't have a good feeling about that. So I ended up funding the first episode all myself. Oh yeah, like 150 grand. To build this, I mean, think about it. You gotta rent a building to build your sets in, then you gotta build sets. Well, what do you need to build sets? Wood, tools, nails, paint, lighting. I mean, you're not even to shooting yet, and then when we're gonna shoot the first episode, I paid to fly everybody down. I paid to put them in hotels. I paid to feed them every day. So it was my baby. So I thought, you know what? If there was ever a bigger case of put your money where your mouth is, I can't imagine. This is my dream project. I loved this show when I was a little boy. It influenced me in so many ways, and I just want to give back, so I should probably fund it. But once we finished the first episode, now we had an example of what we could do, right? Like Shimeizo or Vic Mignogna. We had a proof of concept. So now I felt better about going to a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe and saying, okay, now this is what we can do. If you like this, we can do more of this with this much. And we launched a Kickstarter, or as we called it, a Kirkstarter. It's too easy, right? It's too easy. And we raised the money to make 2, 3, and 4 episodes, 2, 3, and 4. And we launched another one to make 5, 6, and 7. And we launched one more to make 8, 9, 10, 11. But getting back, circling back, I don't know how I feel about the fan thing. I just don't know. And I'm not a money guy. I'm not a financial guy. Just not my thing. And I really don't like it. So that's for people smarter than me to figure out. But that's where we are. That's the answer to your question. Is that it's still there. The idea is still there. We've made the connections. It was a long time coming, but that's the stage that we're at right now. Sorry? Thank you. Well, we love you guys, and the industry has changed a ton. I'm not gonna get into this too much, but trust me, just trust me when I tell you, the industry is not what it was. And I think it has to do with one word, personally. GREED. When I started in this industry, anime was not a movie. And the people that were fans of it were hardcore and supportive, and it was like their own thing. We were like a little family. We all were part of this. We were making it, you guys were enjoying it, and we would do events and promote it, and there was a sense of connection. And within the last handful of years, anime has grown and become very mainstream. And suddenly, everybody in the world and everybody they know is trying to make a buck on anime. Conventions sprouting up left and right, where there are already 20 conventions in that city. Like, what are you even thinking? Well, you know what I mean? Like, you're just wanting to cash in. That's what it is. You know? I mean, Houston's got how many conventions now? Too many. Thank you. I didn't say that. He said that. I just repeated it. But at some point, you see what I'm saying? At some point, like, there's no need for more, but people like it makes money. And even people within the industry. I'm not not gonna name any names, that's not important. But I'm telling the truth. But I'm telling the truth here. Even some voice actors and production studios, they're seeing dollar signs. And that's their motivation. That's what they're interested in. You know, when I started voice acting, there was no money to be made. I mean, we got paid pennies. We just loved what we were doing. And we would go to events for nothing and just promote the work that we were doing and meet people like you who enjoyed what we were doing. But as the industry has grown, suddenly everybody, you know, Netflix and Hulu and all these big players suddenly want to make in. You know, or you know, people charging insane amounts of money to sign their name. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but it's the truth. You know, I mean, suffice it to say, I'm just circling back to the beginning of the stuff. The industry has changed a lot from when I started. Yes.
What is your favorite Edward Albert crash?
Okay, now I'm going to throw in the footage because you have to tell me about crash out.
It's new age.
Oh, is that the name for a rant? I just learned something new today here. Crash out, I didn't know what that was. Like, wait, Edward drives a car? And he crashed it? What? What is my favorite Edward crash out? My favorite rant? Well, there are a lot of great ones. There are a lot. I think the very first one, actually, in New York, when in the first, by the way, I'm going back to the first film now, the Four Brothers. Yeah, when somebody mistook his brother for him, right, as they often did, and he would go, what was it? He goes, shut. What did he say? Who you call small? He goes, what are you going to call me next? The half-pint bean sprout vision? I'm still growing, you backwater desert idiots! And of course, it was the classic, I'll break down your feet and stick them on your head. When they were trying to get in the shop, when the nurse was trying to get in the shop. You know, one of my favorites, this is not even a short rant, but it's in that vein. The original, again, the original. Remember, you guys, most of you seen the original one? Mm-hmm. Okay, for those of you that haven't, go home now and watch it because it's great. I know most people like Brotherhood the best. I kind of have a soft spot for the original. I love the original. But, I mean, I love Brotherhood too, but the original was really kind of my first love, right? So there's this one scene where he and Al are trying to sneak into this building. And he's crawling through an air conditioning duct. He's crawling through this duct and he goes, oh, it's actually good that I'm so small. And then he just stopped and the camera cuts and he's kicking and screaming, no, it's not! Like there's nobody even around. He's throwing a tantrum in an air conditioning duct. Exactly, because he called himself a pipsqueak. You have a question?
Where do you buy your pants?
At the pet store. No, you know what? I appreciate you asking. These came from a place called Morningstar. No, I'm sorry. I get them mixed up. These came from a place, and they have an online store called Forgotten Saints. They do a lot of really cool, weird things. I don't get to wear this at conventions. Yes, sir. Yes. See, I'm a bad promoter. I don't even remember to tell people things like that.
One of the things that you do is you ask questions that, for your fans to answer, you have to answer your question.
Yes.
And over the time that you've been doing it, what is the one that was the most favorite to you, and what was your answer to it?
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna For those of you that are like, what is he talking about? Every Wednesday night on Twitch, I do a live stream. And we have a couple hundred people that join us. We have a great time. I do it from my little studio. And I talk to everybody that's in there. We've got several of our people here today. Yeah. And have a wonderful time. There's a chat running the whole time. And then we have a little segment we call Wellness Wednesday, which is just kind of words of encouragement. And then we do a fan cam, where I bring people on and we have a fan cam question for the week. And they used to be kind of light, fluffy questions, do you put nuts on your ice cream or not? You know what I mean? Like dumb things like that, right? Do you prefer, you know what I mean? Like chocolate or vanilla? And just kind of lighthearted things. And then my wife actually said to me, you should ask more thought-provoking questions. Things that make people actually think and consider what they believe about this or how they feel about that. And some of my favorites have been things like, if you knew you had 24 hours to live, what would you do with it? Sorry? Oh, you're right, it was. Yes, but that's the kind of question. That's a good example of the kind of question. What were some good fan cam reports? It was that kind of thing. We've been doing more of those like thoughtful. What is something about you that, what is it? What is it like something about you that people might consider a negative quality, you consider a good quality? And one of the things that came out of it is things like, well, some people say I'm stubborn. Okay, well, there's a very fine line between being stubborn and being assertive, or feeling strongly about what you believe, right? I mean, where does it cross the line in being stubborn? Or, somebody said, I overthink everything. I've been accused of overthinking things. Well, somebody else might call that being thorough, right? Or having the presence of mind to think ahead and plan ahead accordingly. So, a lot of the fan cam questions recently have been more thought-provoking questions. Because I really love for people to think about weighty things, about not only your life, but how you relate to other people. And like we do videos, or we do something called Send It In. And we'll have a question for the Send It In, and anybody would record themselves answering the question and send a video in, and then we would cut together a video. And that way, not only do we have people's answers, but everybody gets to see. Oh my gosh, this is Brooklyn Christine. Oh my gosh, this is Dark Logical. You get to put a face with the screen name. So it's a really fun little community. And we certainly invite you to join us. Absolutely. Yes, my dear. Favorite voice that I've done and most difficult one? Well, my favorite, I don't really think of voices, I think of characters. So, like, Ed's my favorite. I just love the little guy. Broly was the hardest vocally, just because it was so taxing on the voice. But as far as easy was concerned, I played a character a long time ago in a show that nobody even remembers anymore, called Tsubasa Chronicle. I love that show. And I played a character named Fi. And Fi was a wizard. And nothing ever bothered Fi. Nothing. Even in the midst of battle, this is how they would talk. he just couldn't get rattled. He didn't yell. He didn't throw any tantrums. We say all those for Ed, right? But he was just a very easy-going person. Tamaki was easy, vocally easy, unless, of course, he threw a tantrum, like he occasionally did as well, right? His hamster homes and all this stuff. But I think more in terms of characters and what is required to play the character. So if you've got a character like a Broly, or some characters I played in Digimon, that, I mean, they yell and scream all the time. That's, not only is it, ripping on the voice, but there's not a lot of variety and dimension to the character. And as an actor, you want to play a role that that makes you play all these different emotions and challenges you to portray certain emotional moments and stuff. So I guess that would be my answer to that. Yes, sir.
How many takes did you have to do for an anime because you're laughing so much, or you're
How many takes have I ever had to do because I was laughing so much? Okay, I'm going to tell you a story that I might have told in the past, so I apologize if you heard it. There was a show that I did a long time ago that I just loved called Air. It was so beautiful, and it was such a sweet story. I played this homeless guy named Yukito, and I mean he was a vagrant. He didn't have a home, and he would hang out on the seawall, and he had a puppet that he could manipulate to do like a puppet, and the puppet would dance and do little things, and he would put on these little shows just to try to make a couple pennies to buy ramen or whatever, just to survive. And then the other main character is this girl named Misuzu, and she's kind of an outcast. She's one of the kids at school that nobody really talks to. She's kind of a loner. And guess what? Yukito is pretty much a loner too, right? So the two of them become friends. And it's just a beautiful show. Where am I going with this? His question was, did you ever, something so funny, right? So I was recording that show one time. This was at ADD. This was back when ADD was still doing its thing. And there was a scene. Where can I borrow you? Can I borrow you? Can you stand up for me? There was a scene where Misuzu was at the top of the hill, and Yukito was at the bottom of the hill, and he was reaching up, and she was going to help him get up the hill. So she's pulling him. Now, for the voice actor, what are you doing? Right? All those little effort sounds that would be what you'd be doing if you were actually the character. I don't know what mood I was in. But we were recording that moment, and I did this. And the director starts laughing, and the engineer starts laughing. So I start laughing. And then the very next scene, Yukito is sitting on a bench, and he gets up, and I went, and it just became stupid. We were laughing so hard, we couldn't even get through a line. Like, I get halfway through it, and I just start laughing again. Exactly, I was 10 years old again. Kind of funny that the name of the show was Air. That's just the happy accident. But, who's got a question? You right? Yes, sir.
Yes.
So did every write the Chicano song, or did they just write a song that the vocal first and then work on the background song, then the instrumental music?
That's a great question. I am much more a musician than a lyricist. In fact, right now, as we speak, got a little crosstalk from another wireless mic. I have right now, if we were to all get on a bus and go to my house and go to my studio, I have Pro Tools open and I have a song that's almost fully fleshed out, like production-wise, and has no lyric. Because I started just messing around and I thought, oh, I like that. And I recorded it before I would forget it. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to lay down some drums to that. And I'll do that. And then, ooh, I should put down a little rhythm guitar. And I did that. I'm like, it's kind of thin. It needs a bass guitar. I need a bass guitar, right? And then I just keep building. And the next thing you know, I have a finished track with no melody, no vocal, no lyric. And I'm like, darn it. Now what do I do with it? Because I'm at the stopping point without a lyric to record a vocal. So I end up doing the music almost always. I end up doing the music first. Occasionally, it's funny, back when I first started writing songs, it was the other way around. And as I'm thinking about it, oh my gosh, I almost want to give you my last one because this is a great question. Because I never really thought about this. But when I was starting to write songs, I didn't know that much about music. So I would make up a lyric or make up a melody, and then I would try to write music around it. But as I became more proficient in playing and producing and arranging different instruments, my focus shifted, and I started spending more time creating the music, and then suddenly I have this piece of music with no lyric or no melody. So I've got 2 songs right now at home that I really like. One of them, I won't even tell you about it, not now, because my wife is not here. So we have at our house, we have one of those televisions. Have you seen those televisions they call the frame? It looks like a picture. It's like this thin, don't tell me, like this thin. And it has a frame around it, and literally it accesses art. And it has tens of thousands of works of art. And you can put it in art mode, and it even changes the surface look, but it looks like a painting. So when people come in your house, they're like, oh, it's a really pretty painting. It's not a painting, it's a television. And you can switch it over to TV, right? Well, several months ago, my wife put a picture up there, and I don't know who did it. It was a photograph, like an artist who does like artsy black and white photos and stuff. And it was a photo of the Eiffel Tower, and there was snow covering the ground, and there was a whole big group of penguins walking along by the Eiffel Tower. Now, I think we all agree that's an image you'll never see. Right? So I started thinking, I started thinking lyrically, like what would be a cool song? Penguins in Paris. What the heck was that about? Exactly. And the theme of the song is that the odds of me meeting and falling in love and marrying my wife, the odds of us coming together are like the odds of penguins in Paris. Right? And so I started writing the song. But I know that's what I'm call it. And we become, I don't even know how we got onto this book. My wife, in her car, she has a channel shows of music, and it's yacht rock, which is basically, adult contemporary kind of soft rock. Before it was yacht rock, that's what it was called. But and so I decided I wanted to write it in that style. And so I produced the whole thing out. I mean, it's done. Every element of it, it's done. It's ready to record. I just don't have a lyric. So, but I know what I want to call it. So that's, don't tell her. Okay? Question. I'll get you next. Yes, Christine. I was looking for a young lady because I've been calling a lot of guys, so I just want to mix it up a little bit. Yes.
Made me think of this when you were talking about the first inspirational kiss on Star Trek. I actually, I knew about that from the time I was a child, and I even had Michelle Nichols sign a photo of the two of them. But as I grew up and started thinking, I'm wondering, was it because of the regulations on the network that they made it that the kiss was something that was forced?
Yeah. Well, that
Was
was
the way they got around it. Yeah, another brilliant example of what we're talking about with the Star Trek thing and the network, not allowing them to do certain things. They wouldn't just allow Captain Kirk to kiss Lieutenant Kirk. And they knew they could never get that past the censors. So what they did was, in the context of the story, there were these beings that had the power to control what you did. Just by thinking. And they would just bear down, and you would suddenly be like, and you couldn't stop yourself from picking up this knife and stabbing this person. Or they used this power to force Captain Kirk to kiss Lieutenant Uhura. So it could be argued, it's not like they're, voluntarily making out, and that's the way they got it to pass the censors. Great reminder. Yes, sir. Wait, you're next. Or the gentleman, yes.
So, going back to the audiobook,
Yes.
I listened to several myself.
I was wondering, with the direction and production of the audiobook, I don't know how other studios handle it, but do you read the book all the way through? Do you do parts of it to understand scenes and characters?
I love it. Great question. I wish I had footages to give you. That's a great question. I don't read the book first. I don't read the book first for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I don't want to spend twice as much time recording as just reading it. And secondly, I want to be surprised. I want to feel like, I want to get up the next morning and like, what's going to happen to Leo? What's going to happen to these guys? Yesterday I left them in this pit in the cave, and I wonder what's going to happen. So I'm personally interested, which makes it a lot easier to do than be on your own, get through it. Oh yeah, I remember I read this part already. No, I don't want to read it. I don't want to know what's going to happen. Now, that presents one challenge. The challenge is if you don't know where it's going, sometimes you don't know how to deliver a line. Perfect example. I could never do that to you. He cried. Well, he cries at the end of the sentence, right? So I'll read, I would never do that to you. He cried. And then I'm going, oh, right. He's supposed to be crying. I didn't know that when I started. So without stopping the recording, we're still recording, I would never do that! He cried. So you get certain cues from the book, and sometimes they change the way you're going to do the line. That make sense? How are we doing? Dadgummit. I'm overtiming it. I'm so bad. Are you here for me? 1 second, guys. I have a couple more minutes. Okay, yes, sir.
Oh, gosh, right.
Did I ever have a scene that was hard touching? Oh, yeah. And most of them were in full. Yep. And again, I apologize if some of you that have come to my panels in the past have heard these stories. I apologize. But again, going back to the first full. We even touched on this yesterday in the panel with Karen. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, did you cry when Nina died? You know, when the Camara, you know?" And no. Yeah, see now that his reaction. Well, but the reason I didn't cry is because I didn't really know the characters that well. Right? You'll read about somebody passing away. Well, if you didn't know them, you may be like, "Wow, that's horrible." But it's not going to break you because you didn't have the personal connection. So when Nina died, I was still new. I mean, that's like, what, like the third or fourth episode. I mean, it's like early on in the show. So I was still kind of getting my bearings. And who's that guy? What's my relationship with her? And who's that? And why do I hate him so much? You know, just don't know. You still don't know yet because you're not that far along. So when that happened with Nina, I was acting. I was so upset. But just a few episodes later, again we're talking about the original moment. Just a few episodes later was the Bury the Chopper episode. And at the end of that episode, Ed and Al are sitting on the steps as they're taking Barry away. The cops are taking Barry away. He was a serial killer, for those of you that. And Ed was sitting on the steps, and he was talking to his brother. And I was doing a line. Actually, I was watching that moment, because you watch it ahead of time. So you get an idea of how the mouth movements go. What's the character doing? Is he sitting? Is he standing? Is he running? Is he projecting? Is he talking to somebody very far away? There are a lot of things you need to know before you deliver the line. So I'm watching it, and just as I'm watching the scene, and I'm following along with the script, and watching the screen, following along, and I started tearing up. And the director noticed through the glass window that I was tearing up. And he said, "Hey, do you want to, came on the talk back tonight, right? Do you want to take a minute? And I was like, no. Are you kidding? Start recording! Like now, right? Let's grab it while it's visceral and real, and I'm not faking it. I'm genuinely moved by this moment. So that was the first of many moments in Full Metal, when I was so deeply invested in the show and the characters and the interactions that was going on, that I was genuinely, like, emotionally into it. Question? Yes, sir.
For anyone, including myself, who may be interested in pursuing the venture of voice acting or anything like that, given all the changes that's changing in the industry, what kind of, I guess, starting advice would you give for someone who's looking into avenues or any ways to get their voice out there?
You got a cool voice. Very cool voice. Good question. And you know what? Since I'm already running over here, and I gotta get back downstairs, here's my people asking me, where are you? Just finishing up. Be down in a minute. That's a great question. It's a really good one to end on, because I know a lot of you probably have a real interest in voice acting as a craft. The good news is, well, let's start with that. So end with the good news. The bad news is that there are so many people that want to do it now. There's so much more competition than there was when I started. Yeah, that's part of it too. But there are tens of thousands of people, right, wanting to get into an industry that can only has so many opportunities, right? That's the bad news. The good news is you have lots more avenues for voice acting than I did. When I started, there was no like online auditioning and recording. You would go into a studio to audition. And if you got cast, you would go back into that studio regularly to record. But now, there are tons of productions and shows and series and movies that are not only taking auditions online, but they're even, if you get cast, you can even record without going anywhere. All you need is a quiet room in your house and a good microphone. Yeah, and the quiet part's very important. There can't be ambient bouncing, you can't hear bouncing around the room, you know, the ambience in your room with the hard walls or hard floor. You pad out your room so it's nice and dead and quiet. And a decent microphone, which is, and again, it's not even that expensive. You can do, this is the beauty, this is part of the good news, y'all. You guys live in such a great time where you've got technology at your fingertips that didn't even exist when I started. It's like when I started writing music, and I wanted to record some songs that I did. Well, guess what I had to do? I had to rent a recording studio, like a real one. A 24-track recording studio. And then I needed to go in, and I needed to hire a bass player, and I needed to hire a drummer, and I played the keys, and it was all recorded on tape at $65 an hour for this recording studio. Well, guess what? Your laptop will do it all. Right now. And it won't cost you anything. And the cost of an app, right? Or the cost of a decent microphone. Or the cost of some panels that you put on your walls. And a throw rug to deaden the sound in your room. That's the good news, is that you have the capabilities for very little money to do quality recording work. And if you have the internet, which obviously most of us do, you have the opportunity to audition and even record for a show in the comfort of your own home. That didn't exist for a very long time. So you guys are really blessed with that opportunity. Same with even making films. You know, back in the day, the only people that could make a movie were people that had the money, right, to rent a 35mm camera and lighting and sound guys and crews and all kinds of stuff. Well, now your phone will take HD video, and if you know how to light and you know how to compose a shot, you can shoot something as good as anything. Exactly. But now you've got the capability in your pocket. Is that insane? I mean, it's unbelievable. So you live in a great time where if you're a creative and you have ideas, but you don't know how to bring them to fruition. Back when I started, it was a big step from writing a little song in my bedroom to getting it recorded professionally with musicians. That was a big step. I had to save up a lot of money, I had to rent a studio, find people to play, and all that. Nowadays, you've got it at your fingertips. So, guys, thank you for coming. I love you guys so much. Listen, let me say also, thank you. If you enjoy yourself, I've got another panel tomorrow at 1. So y'all come back tomorrow. We'll continue our conversation about anything we talked about. Go downstairs and tell your friends they should come because it was fun. And I'm heading straight back to my table. Oh yes, let's get a picture.